Today we are going over lesson 10.8, factoring special products. Now, with factoring special products, we are just going to be factoring things that are perfect squares and differences of squares today. This does not change anything we learned in the factoring lessons for 10.4 and 10.5. We're just going to continue doing that same process. The only difference is that the numbers we find today will either be the same or opposites. Now, starting off, just to show you a pattern with the what we call the product of x plus 7 squared is x plus 7 times x plus 7. Right? You got two pieces of the same. And when we multiply, x times x is x squared, x times 7 plus 7x, and then that was the first and outer, right? Then we do inners, 7 times x is another 7x, and last, 7 times 7, 49, and then we add like terms. X squared comes down, 7 plus 7 gives us 14x, and then 49 just comes down to give us x squared plus 14x plus 49, right? And then look at how does x plus 7 squared compare to this, right? We don't just get x squared plus 49, right? We get the 14x, which is 2 7s, right? 2 7s, 7 times 7, and just the first number times the first part, right? X times x. One more time, but this time with a negative. X minus 5 squared is x minus 5 times x minus 5. X times x, x squared. X times minus 5, minus 5x. Inners, negative 5 times x is another minus 5x. Last, negative 5 times minus 5, plus 25. And we get x squared minus 10x plus 25. So notice the middle only slightly changes between a plus and a minus. Right, the middle gives us a different sign, x squared minus 10x plus 25. Now, how factoring did it change? It's not, right? But here's a pattern. X plus a squared gives us x squared plus 2ax, right? This is just a number. We aren't going to have a now, just 2a, right? If we had 5, it was 5 times 2, 10. When we had 7, 7 times 2, we had 14. When it was minus 5 times 2, minus 10. And then we always had plus whatever the a number is squared. So negative 5 was plus 25. 7 and 7 was 49. Right? This is not necessarily worried about the pattern here because remember, how do we factor? Generally, we use the diamond problem, and actually, the slides factor divide bottoms up is what we did for factoring, which involved the diamond method, which was in that previous list, right? We slide if there's a number in front to the back, right? We did the front number times the last number to get the top part of our x, and then we factored by finding out what are the two numbers on left and right of our x, and then we divided it up by the leading coefficient if they had something besides 1, and then if we had to, we brought the bottom up, right? Divided, put it into x plus a number, x minus a number, right? We can always check our work by multiplying at the end just to check that you get the original. So starting off here, we've got x squared minus 12x plus 36, right? We do 1 times 36. Well, it's 1, so we're just going to get 36. And then the bottom number is the minus 12 here, right? So 36, what two numbers multiplied equal 36, add equal minus 12. We're always going to deal with this sign here. If it's positive, they're positive. If it's negative, they're going to be both be negative. But in this case, it's negative, so we got negative 6 times negative 6. And then because we have 1 in front, we don't need to divide. We just have x minus 6 times x minus 6. Right, pretty quick, nothing different from the previous one, just to notice that minus 6 minus 6. We technically could write this as x minus 6 squared. I won't necessarily do that in all of these, but just as a note, that's why it's a special case, because these will match. Next, x squared plus 16x plus 64. 1 times 64 gives us 64 up top, plus 16x down bottom. Numbers that multiplied equal 16 add equal multiplied equals 64, add equals 16 are 8 and 8. And so we get x plus 8 times x plus 8. We'll do a couple more, and then I'll have you try some later in this slide, in the lesson. X squared plus 4x plus 4. Again, 1 times 4 is 4. And then the bottom number is also going to be 4. Numbers that multiply equal 4, add equal 4. 2 times 2. So x plus 2 times x plus 2, and then x squared minus 8x plus 16. 1 times 16 is 16, adds to equal minus 8. So that means we're going to have minus times minus, and it's going to be square root of 16 is 4, so minus 4 times minus 4. And we get x minus 4 times x minus 4. So pretty straightforward. Moving to the next part, now we're going to look at the difference of squares. So again, writing that out, this is considered the difference of squares. And why do they call that way? In general, the form we're looking at, we're going to have a lot of x squared minus b squared, or a squared. My first square looked a little off, but x squared minus b squared is generally what our answers are going to look like that we're factoring. So x plus 3 times x minus 3, foiling it already for you, we get x squared minus 3x plus 3x, I goofed my order on here, minus 9. The plus in middle, plus 3x and minus 3x will cancel, and we're going to get x squared minus 9. Over here, x times x, x squared, x times 8, 8x, negative 8 times x minus 8x, again goofed up the order, negative 8 times plus 8, 64, negative, to get x squared minus 64, and our pattern is x squared minus a squared. Now continuing here, what numbers multiply to equal minus 49? I don't have a number of x this time, right? Just x squared minus 49. So my numbers are going to be negative 49 and 0, right? So they're going to have to be the opposites, right? If they're going to add to equal 0, it's going to be like 3 and minus 3. Well, 3 times minus 3 doesn't get you 49, right? So we're going to be negative 7 times positive 7 gives us 49. And so that'll give us x minus 7 times x plus 7. Same pattern over here. 1 times minus 25 gives us minus 25. 0x, we just write 0, and the numbers are plus and minus 5. Right? 5 times 5 is 25, but we need an opposite sign to be negative. 5 minus 5 is 0. To get x plus 5, x minus 5. Now the order doesn't matter, right? I said it opposite. Is it a different answer? No, the same answer. So you could also write x plus 5 times x minus 5. Next slide, we've got x squared minus 36. So 1 times minus 36, add equals 0. Square root of 36, right? Because that's the pattern we're dealing with, is plus and minus 6. And to get x plus 6, x minus 6, and then one more, x squared minus 16, minus 16 up top, 0 on the bottom. Numbers are going to be plus and minus 4. Give us x plus 4, x minus 4, and I did switch them up here. Well, it's plus 4 here, why didn't you write it there? Doesn't matter. Order doesn't matter, and that's why I kind of messed it around a little bit with these. Minus 6 was here, but it ended up being second there. Right? Just like 8 times 2 is the same as 2 times 8. Order when you multiply does not matter. Moving on to a couple more examples of mixed ones now here. And we've got 4x squared plus 12x plus 9. We haven't had many with a number in front. So as a reminder, how does that work? 4 times 9 is 36. That's the number on top. Adds equal 12. We've seen this one before, I believe. Right? Numbers multiplied equal 36. 6 and 6, add equal 12. Yep, 6 and 6. Now we have to bring the 4 back in. We can't just forget about it. So we're going to divide both pieces by 4 and simplify. Well, since it's either the same, we'll only do it once, right? This is the same as 3 halves. So then when we write it, I wrote it over here, this is the same as x plus 3 halves times x plus 3 halves. But wait, where's the 4, right? X times x is x squared. So what we need to do is bring the bottom up. So that means we're bringing this 2 and shifting it over to in front of the x with both of them. So then we're going to have, instead of x plus 3 over 2, we're going to have 2x plus 3. No, that's not correct. It is 2x plus 3 times 2x plus 3. And that will be that one. Lastly, we've got 9x squared minus 1. 9 times minus 1 is minus 9. And they're going to add equals 0, right? We don't have any x, right? 0x. So the numbers are plus and minus 3. But now you see I already brought the 9 back, right? Divide by 9. This time we're going to get 1/3, right? 3 divided by 9 is 1/3. And negative 3 divided by 9 is negative 1/3. Oh, pardon me. Negative 1/3. And then we got x minus 3, 1/3, x plus 1/3. Instead, we switched it already, and you got 3x plus 1 times 3x minus 1. And that wraps up this video. Again, let me know if you have any questions regarding any of these by email or even in the Google Classroom.